After spending a week in Disney, we began our ascent up the eastern U.S., starting with Saint Augustine. We quickly learned that our focus of learning and exploring would be shifting from geology and science to history. Saint Augustine is the oldest European settled city in America. It's claimed to have been first discovered by Ponce de Leon in 1513 when he was in search of the Fountain of Youth. It was eventually settled officially in 1565 when the King of Spain wanted a safe refuge for his treasure ships as they were transporting goods from South America. St. Augustine can boast that it is the only city center in the U.S. that has been able to maintain its colonial Spanish architecture and street pattern. We noticed all the house balconies that reminded us a little of New Orleans, but with a different vibe. These incredibly narrow streets that they have were very unique and made wandering the downtown area a lot of fun. We were able to find several little intimate nooks and crannies like this one where we stopped to enjoy some ice cream and handmade pretzels. Protecting the king's treasure was a continuous issue for the Spanish settlers, and pirates pillaged and burned the town several times in its early years. Britain was also a looming threat back then, as they were settling what is now our southern states of the Carolinas and Georgia. Eventually, the Castillo de San Marcos was built in the late 1600s.
I don't know if can you... Oh, it's a prison room.
This fort was built 100 years before the U.S. claimed its independence. Due to treaties, the fort changed hands from Spain to Britain, back to Spain, and eventually to the U.S. It had many battles that it fought, and its claim to fame is that it never lost a single one. This was attributed to its unique construction out of coquina, which is a limestone made out of seashells. The military at the time it was being built didn't realize the wonderful properties of this rock, and they were just using what happened to be on hand in the area. It's so porous that plants grow easily out of its walls, but this also makes it able to absorb cannonballs and bullets shot at it without cracking. We could still see the indents left over from prior battles to this day. One more cool fact about the town is that it was part of the Underground Railroad well before Florida was ever a state. Any slave who made it to the town was granted their full independence as long as they pledged their allegiance to the Spanish king.
On our last day, we took a tour of the chocolate factory and learned how it was made.
A few weeks prior, we had gone to a farmer's market outside the Everglades and purchased a cacao pod. Over the course of several weeks, Luca fermented, roasted, ground, and finally made actual chocolate. Nico got a little baby fire going so they could roast marshmallows tonight.
I wanted to roast marshmallows.
Not bad for some sticks he found in the woods and a few matches.
From St. Augustine, we headed up the East Coast to Charleston, South Carolina.
We are checking out a plantation today, getting a little Southern history in. Middleton Place was built over 2.5 centuries ago. At one point, it had a formal estate as well as a rice plantation on the Ashley River. It survived the Revolutionary and Civil War and housed Andrew Middleton, a signer of the Declaration of Independence. We were there for a day and could have easily spent more time there. The grounds were extensive and beautifully manicured. They had demonstrations by a blacksmith, potter, and there were lots of farm animals that roamed about. We took a few guided tours, including one titled Beyond the Fields, that delved into slavery and American history. There were a few plantations available to tour in the area, and Luke eventually picked this one. And I think it was a really great combination of the expansive gardens and American history. So if you're ever in the area, I was really happy with the plantation we chose to tour.
Here's Nico's impression of a sheep.
Good job, Jessica.
Oh, you got it.
Well done.
Do you want a cigarette?
Milking the cow was fun, but it felt so rubbery.
So you gotta keep your fingers flat so you pinch it all so it all comes to the front. To the bottom. There you go.
Didn't even curl in.
Yeah, but you did it. You wanna try again? Try and get it in the bucket? No? Alright, you got it though. Alright, good job.
Nice.
At one point during the final tour of the day, Nico was so bored that he started playing rock, paper, scissors against himself. But the rest of us were just laughing and looking at him like he was a wizard casting a spell or something.
So we're going out today to do some sightseeing in Charleston, and we're going to first stop and pick up some fried chicken from this place that apparently has the best fried chicken.
Yes. Ironically, their name is Leon's Oysters, so we'll see. All right, we got our fried chicken, black-eyed peas. The chicken did not disappoint. It was crispy and savory with a touch of spice. So good.
Down here to build up our defenses to get ready for the Union invasion. You did a pretty good job of protecting Charleston. That's why you...
That's Fort Sumter. That is where the first shots were fired at the north from Charleston during the Civil War. And we're here in Waterfront Park.